So welcome back to Master Duel. Now, I was thinking of what deck to make next secondly after Dark Magician, and I thought what better way than a deck you can transition from Duel Links into this, and then build on for the future, right? So I thought, you know what, Dragonmaid makes a ton of sense, and here we are with the deck. Now, if you're a seasoned Dragonmaid player, you'll notice that this isn't finished, right? Strictly, the extra deck. The main deck I think is looking pretty okay, right? It's 99% there, but the extra deck is lacking, specifically in terms of Heavenly Spheres. It's a very, very good disruption card, can bounce the card your opponent controls, or in the graveyard back to the hand in their turn. You really want 2 or 3 of this. Turn 1, you'll summon this, set it up with perhaps a Dragonmaid trap in the back row to do another bounce. But then, what happens on turn 4, turn 5, when you've broken their board, you really want a second copy of this. Also, we're missing a ton of, like, you know, the big extra staples, right? Masquerena, Accesscode, Borrelsword, they can all go in here and would be much better than something like Trisbaena. But, you know, I have a soft spot for Trisbaena, so, he's in there for the moment. Dragonmaids as a deck, to me, is the perfect deck for Duel Links players to go into the TCG, and then, eventually over time, you can turn this into full-on Dragon Link that still has the same combos of Chamber into your Striker Dragon, Special back, and then bring out Spheres. And that's kind of one of your main starter combos for Dragon Link. And so this deck, I think, is the perfect embodiment of getting a gateway to competitive, right? And so far, it's been doing very, very well for me. I'm in Plat 4, I believe, so it's doing pretty good. But what do the Dragonmaids do? Well, the whole shtick is on summon, they have a ton of effects, and in the battle phase, they can trigger themselves out for a copy of their big Dragonmaid counterparts. The only one that doesn't is Chamber, and she's probably the best Dragonmaid we have. So Konami, please give us, you know, Chamber Dragon form. That'd be amazing, because one of the main combos of this deck is to play your Dragonmaid Hospitality to summon one from the graveyard or your hand, and then send the dragon out from your deck to the graveyard. And so if you only use this on her, then you're not getting the same value as you would using on something like Parlor or on Nurse. And Nurse is great because on summon she can summon one from the graveyard, so you'd go Nurse, summon perhaps Parlor dump one, and then play something else. Maybe use the Changeover spell in the graveyard to get it back to your hand to fusion summon into your big Dragonmaid Fusion, who is an Omni Negate that can then float into your other Dragonmaid Fusion that can then in the battle phase tag, when you tag out, you pop monsters your opponent controls, which is crazy. Now we are playing the trap card, Dragonmaid Tidying, which is a bounce on your opponent's turn, or if it's in a graveyard, it's a special summon, so you can then get the value off of that in getting more summons on the board, or searches for your spell and trap cards, right? The one downside I think so far with this deck is Eldritch, and I don't mean that it can't compete, right? I had a 1 hour game where I won grinding out Eldritch, but without things like Lightning Storm and Duster, if your opponent does what they did to me today, and they turn 1, they set 3 floodgates, then you're not really going to be able to play, because if they're playing, is it a Ghost match, right, the attribute one, then you're locked out of literally the entirety of your combos. So yeah, it's not very fun, but let's dive into some doing replays today, because I tried doing live duels, and for the amount of time they took, there wasn't really anything exciting, right, but I had a ton of really cool, really engaging duels last night, so I thought, you know what, we'll scrap the OG video, we'll go with this, and there's some fun ones in there. So let's kick things off with a ranked duel versus boys. I can't remember what we played, but we did draw to Maxx turn 1, so that's pretty good. We're going first, and we didn't really draw much, right? This is one thing the Dragonmaids can struggle with, is if you don't see a normal Dragonmaid, then they don't really do much turn 1. But we had the Negate, we had the Maxx. I thought we were fine. You know, there could be a lot worse starting hands than this. But this guy's playing Phantom Knights, I remember now. So, I haven't played Phantom Knights or against Phantom Knights in a very long time. But I remember strictly here, you know what, we'll Maxx at the early convenience on the trap. I don't want him to establish a board of a big rank 4 going into the Archpendulum Dragon, which is the Arc Dragon. But he's going to commit to summoning twice, he has to draw 2, and of course we can, in our battle phase, we can trigger the effect of Ernus to summon out our Dragonmaid Chamber, and then search out for our Revival spell that will then get us into our Nurse in the graveyard. So far, it's looking pretty good. Drawing to Parlor though, which is going to be able to get us off a search into the graveyard of our Kitchen Dragonmaid, and then we use Kitchen when we won't, we'll bring back her to search out Nurse, actually. And then we will link summon, of course, into Hieratic Seal of the... No, we're not. We're going to Knightmare Pheonix, apparently. Oh, that's right, yeah. I was so scared about the back row here that because I know they have a negate, right? They have a trap card that can negate. That's basically a buffed up Fiendish Chain. So I really didn't want that to come down when I made a very big power play for summoning out Nurse. That was it. And of course, Nurse can bring back Chamber. Chamber comes back to the field. Chamber then searches out for the fusion spell, which we'll use after we link summon into our bounce. Oh no. This was the this was the Decode. Oh, this is the fun match. Decode Talker coming out. One of the only times I summoned it. We're gonna use Nurse, bounce it back to the hand to summon out into our Dragonmaid, and then we're just gonna kind of clean up the board here a little bit. But we're not out of the clear yet because this, we're gonna end on a somewhat strong turn 1, right? But no, we're not. We're getting the Beerud. So this was funny. This is the first time I've been the Beerud in 40 hours of playing, which I thought was pretty cool. And of course, we're ending off with a very, very big token on the board. Now, all we need to do is stop our opponent from outing that token, and we can win. Because a lot of the time, people just won't be able to out their own token, which is kind of crazy. You'd have thought they would have been able to, but no, we can imperm the effect of the, that's that Torn Scale, I think that's Torn Scale, negate you. But of course, he's playing Dangerous Tsuchinoko in the hand, going to be targeting it since the graveyard, and target stuff in the graveyard to bring it back out to the field. Gonna link summon into the link to Cherubini, Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss, which is going to send a Burning Abyss from deck to graveyard, and of course then we're going to trigger and special summon one out from the deck. And then of course, he's going to make Phantom Knights his best link monster, the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche. Very cool animation for that one, by the way. Very, very cool. And of course, just establishing a board of more link monsters. Going to be using Bardiche's effect, going to be searching out the Shade Brigadine trap card, which he can automatically play. However, he didn't realize he set it in the imperm column, so he's going to play it, and immediately going to be negated. So this duel could have gone crazily different if he didn't do that, but I imagine in all the comboing, he just forgot into Union Carrier, so I was getting pretty scared at this point because we all know how good Union Carrier is if you played TCG. Going to be equipping from the deck Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, which you didn't know, it's not in Duel Links, right? But this stops your opponent from extra decking, right? I think. Where is it? Yeah. While equip this card to a monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. So I was very, very worried because obviously I thought, you know what, we'll go and make Sheou, we'll try and beat over the guy, and we couldn't do that. So we had to get a little bit creative here. Of course, Nurse into Chamber, Chamber going to summon a Noctovision in hand, going to summon itself out on a special summon of our Chamber, which is really nice. We're going to search out with Chamber into the Hospitality. I don't even remember how we kind of beat it. Oh, okay, we did, yeah. Okay, yeah. We just Nibiru tokened over their board. But of course, he has the trap card, which oh yeah. Oh, this is funny. Right. This is the good one, right? This is the Fiendish Chain. And I bet he forgot that Nibiru tokens aren't affect monsters. They're just normal monsters, so you can't use it on it. Which was really, really big. So we cleared that out. The threat's now gone. We can add back to our hand our Chamber, our Dragonmaid Changeover to go and then start a combo off into, of course, the Striker Dragon. And we can then go in for the Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, which is going to actually trigger the effect of Noctovision Dragon to get a free draw one-off, which is just way more value into a Raigeki to nuke the board. And from here, I don't think there's much any player can do, especially when you're about to face as well a Dragonmaid Sheou who is an Omni Negate. So we have a bounce from the Spheres, we have an Omni Negate in the form of our Dragonmaid, we have a very, very big Nibiru token. I don't think there was any coming back from this for our opponent, and of course he just scoops it up because at that point, why wouldn't you? So this one is a little bit quicker, only 2 turns compared to the other one. However, he does have I love that field. I love that field. The Koi Garden thing. It's so nice. He's only going to set 1 and pass. We have a somewhat okay hand, no interruptions. Drawing into the Ash though, going to be very, very important because we're going to be summoning our kitchen, and he's going to hit us in a minute with the big old Maxx C, which you know, if we're going to special summon, then he's going to draw a ton of cards. But we have the Ash, and from there, it's kind of free game, right? I don't know what his back row was, but he's playing Thunder Dragon, so he deserved what he was getting either way. But it's very rare for us to open the Noctovision into the Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, so I'm going to speed this one up, because this board doesn't happen very often, but it's not very often I use Darkness Mail Dragon either. Like, most of the time, Darkness Metal is used as a high-level fusion material for your Dragonmaid Sheou, if you don't have access to one of the high-level Dragonmaids. But we're setting up the Spheres, we're setting up the Sheou, we're going to set up the Darkest Metal Dragon, summoning that out. We're going to summon out from the graveyard into our Lorpar, and then we're just going to attack in for game very, very easily, very, very quickly. This is what I'd like to see. Of course, it would have been nice if the Thunder Dragon player did have a bit more interaction, but given I hadn't faced Colossus yet, I wasn't sure of how that would go. Let's go on to another duel now versus Aceton. Ooh, okay, Maxx C, of course, and the Prosperity. Going to be showing that off as well. We're going to start with Prosperity, and here we're only going to mill 3, I believe, yeah. Ash Blossom, the Revival spell, and Imperm. I believe here I choose the Ash Blossom, yeah, because having Maxx C and Ash is just the go-to combo. Going to summon out our Parlor, sending Chamber to the graveyard. Going to Reborn the Chamber. Chamber coming out. Going to be searching out the Dragonmaid Tidying trap card. That's one interruption we have. We can then go into a Link Summon, of course, into the Striker Dragon. Very, very straightforward play here. Going to be using a Hospitality to bring out the Parlor. Parlor going to be sending out to the graveyard the Lorpar. And then, of course, we're going to go into our lovely Heavenly Spheres. And we're going to set the trap card and pass. So we have on the field right now 1 bounce from this, 1 bounce from this, the Ash, and the Maxx C. 4 interruptions. There's no way we can lose this, I don't think. He starts off with the Imperm to target off our Heavenly Spheres. He then uses Cross-Up Designator to target the Dragonmaid Tidying, because he's playing Mirror Dragonmaids. So now it becomes, who is the best Dragonmaid player? And spoilers, it's probably me. Parlor coming down, of course, we're going to Ash the Parlor, which makes sense. He's then going to Chain from Hand, Called by the Grave. So this was literally a battle of the hand traps and why they're so important in a format like this. But of course he's going to use Parlor's effect to send to the graveyard inevitably. What does he send in the end? He sends out the Kitchen, okay, fair enough. He's then going to play the Hospitality. We had the exact same turn 1 play pretty much, in terms of cards. Of course, hitting him with a Maxx C, and then we'll see how far he gets. Summoning back, sending 1, and then redraw into the Ash. Going to be adding Lorpar. Lorpar probably being sent to the graveyard as well. Maybe, I think. Yep, of course. So in the battle phase, you have 2 tag outs. We're going to use our Parlor to tag out into our own copy of Lorpar. And then it's going to attack him. Of course, we're going to use our Heavenly Spheres, but it's negated. But the important thing is that's negated. But when you tribute Heavenly Spheres by itself, you can then summon from the deck a dragon in defense with 0 attack and defense. And that then, in Dragonmaid, gets you Nurse into your chamber, and then you just start to slowly recover those combo pieces and set yourself up for next turn. So even if that board was dismantled, you would still have a very, very good next turn play. And finally, we had to cap it off with a duel against one of my favorite deck. So you know what it is already, but this was so funny to me because I now know what it feels like when someone's playing DM. So of course we're going to go Parlor into the Kitchen in the graveyard, going to be activating our Revival spell to bring her back, and then of course she's going to search out, probably for the Revival, with Hospitality, going to Link Summon into, of course, our Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, and then I believe, do we do Hospitality here? I can't remember if we do. We do, okay, yeah. Of course we do. Hospitality into Parlor, Parlor then sending the Lorpar to the graveyard, and just setting 3 back row. We have 2 bounces, we have our Imperm, we're looking very solid. But what's he playing? Dark Magician, in searching for the Eternal Soul. So here I was like, I have to get rid of that, that Eternal Soul when it's summoned as much as possible. And of course we have the Spheres, so at the end of his turn, we need to get rid of that Dark Magical Circle so that next turn he doesn't start popping things on the board. But we're going to risk it right now. We're going to get rid of it. But that might not have been the best play, because he has Souls, of course Souls summoning out into the Dark Magician Girl, and from here, he's going to try and attack in. Of course, we're going to use our Spheres to bounce back the Dark Magician Girl, but he does, spoilers, he does have the quick play to summon into the Dark Magicians, which here does let him clear our board pretty easily, but thankfully we're drawing into some very key cards, and so we're not at a huge downside. 6 Dark Magic coming down, going to be summoning into, of course, the Dark Magicians. I wish that had an animation, but sure, Konami, don't feel like giving it one, that's fine. But now he has a draw spell. He can now draw, he has a draw when he plays Eternal Soul into hand traps, into disruptions, whatever, which is kind of scary. So we're going to summon our Kitchen going to be dumping one, of course, hitting us with the Maxx C. Now, the question is, do we take the Maxx C challenge? And the answer is we have to. Because we know in hand he has a circle, right? So next turn he's going to start dismantling our board either way if we stop here, and we're going to lose. So we have to. We have to try it. And try it we will. And use Tidying from the graveyard to bring back the Chamber searching Hospitality, which of course is our special summon. Hospitality going to be summoning from the graveyard our Lorpar then going to be dumping the Parlor to the graveyard. He's still drawing. We're going to Fusion Spell into the Dragonmaid Sheou from our hand, with the Lorpar in our hand. So there's one Omni Negate. We can now take out the Dark Magicians. But of course, we have to be wary of the Apprentice. So Apprentice has to go first of all, so that we can't lose by battle with her effect. And that's straightforward enough, right? Attack in, get rid of her, attack into the Dark Magicians, still 700, and then attack directly, and probably going to trigger the Dark Magical Circle. We're going to chain here for the effect of the Dark Magicians to Special Summon 2, just so we can negate that. And then we bring out, of course, our Kitchen Dragonmaid, who is now a really good form of removal, but not in this matchup. Because in the battle phase, when you tag out one of your Dragonmaids for another one, you can pop one monster your opponent controls. And of course, they have Eternal Soul. So if they summon Dark Magician, then you can't pop the Dark Magician because it's unprotected. So it's unaffected, sorry. So he's going to set up a little bit of a board there, and of course we are going to be dealing a bit of damage, but he does now have a ton of cards in the hand, which is no good. But we can return the spell to our hand from the graveyard to fusion once again into a second copy of Dragonmaid Sheou, which gives us an Omni Negate, of course, which we'll be saving for the Dark Magical Circle or for the Eternal Soul when it starts to summon, so we can then pop the entire board. And of course, Sheou as well can summon out in standby phase a Dragonmaid in the graveyard. So she can just summon out the Nurse summon something else out, and then House can summon something else out as well. If there's a Dragonmaid on your field with a level that's less than 1 or higher than 1 of the Dragonmaid in your graveyard, it is insane just how much this deck can do when it gets rolling, right? And it's why it's so easy for me to recommend as a deck for Duel Links players to get involved in the competitive side of things, right? At the moment, I think most places have Dragonmaids as like tier 3, tier 2, which I think is pretty cool, right? They're all in one box, pretty much, and so bring out the Dark Magician. He's not going to be summoning, the Eternal, the Magical Circle, which I think he's trying to bait out a negate here, which we're going to do, right? He's going to use Salvation. Salvation is going to bring back out a Dark Magician girl, and we're going to bounce back our Eternal Soul. So, those are going to die. However, oh, okay, they did work this time. In comes the Dark Magical Circle, coming down into the, summoning the Rod. We're going to negate the Rod, no search for you today. You're not getting anything else. But it doesn't really matter because he has Soul Servant in hand. And Soul Servant is going to put on top of the deck. Do we even get to see what Soul Servant adds? I assume we do, right? Yeah, Dark Burning Magic. Which if you've never seen this card before, if there's a DM and DMG on the field, you nuke your opponent's board. Which is very scary. Because now, he's trying so much, right? He's trying so much of what to do. He's playing Reborn. We're negating the Reborn. It's not happening. We're summoning out a Kitchen. Oh, I'm just trying to remember what this does. Okay, he's gonna go to Artemis, right? Because that plays so good when he activates a trap card or a spell card. He can then trigger the Rod, bring back out, add it back to the hand. Very, very nice. But he's left himself wide open for an attack. So there's something here that he has. Either an Eternal Soul or some other way of summoning out into a Dark Magician. So let's see. As I said, Eternal Soul, we're going to Maxx C. Right? At that point I thought, you know what? There's not much point in negating, because he's going to get rid of one of my big Dragonmaids, right? That's what it'll do. And so, well, we can't negate anyway. We have no Sheou. But he's only getting rid of one of our Dragonmaids, and he still has a uphill battle to do to try and get rid of our entire board. But then I forgot, he has a Magician's Salvation on the field, which you can't see because my thing's covering it. But that can then bring out a Dark Magician girl when a DM is summoned. So that means he immediately has access to his field spell nuking Dark Burning attack. Which, but thankfully our hand is kind of insane, so we do have options when he does do that eventually, but, it didn't feel good, right, to have like this entire board be picked away in one fatal blow by a quick play spell run by Dark Magician. But you're gonna see it's gonna come down. It's gonna come down. It's gonna hit me like a ton of bricks. We're gonna play our fusion spell, right? And he plays it here, right? He plays the Dark Burning Magic here, which doesn't screw us. So he's going to nuke the entire board, change over, go into fusion spell in our hand into, of course, the Dragonmaid Sheou, who now is our Omni Negate on the field. Very nice. We of course then summon the Chamber going to search out for a Tidying for a bit of disruption on our opponent's turn. That's fine. We're playing Hospitality bringing out from the graveyard. The Nurse going to be bringing out, I assume, the Parlor if she can. I would assume it's the case, yep, going into Parlor then going to be dumping to the graveyard, probably a Kitchen. Nope, another fusion spell. And of course from here, we can just bounce back to summon out all of our dragons in the graveyard. One of the best things about Dragonmaid, just summon out all these big dragons, and he doesn't have anything else. And even if he does, his back row, okay, here we go, right? We're going to use our Sheou. Sheou is going to negate the Apprentice, and then summon out a 3000 house. So here we're just, he's used 2 Apprentice already, and most DM decks are running 2 Apprentice. So I thought, you know what? He's not going to, there's no way he can win here. We've got game on board, attack directly with the house, and there we go. One of the most fun matchups I've had in a very, very long time in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. So, yeah, that is Dragonmaid. So go back to the deck real quick. I'm really liking it so far. It's definitely my my main deck for rank. Like DM is fine, right, to play for a couple of games, but if you want to actually climb, then Maid's gonna do you so much better. But when the meta right now is so focused on things like Eldritch and Drytron, it does struggle to compete with some of those strategies depending on what they get, right? If you're playing Eldritch that isn't super cancer, then you can do a very good grind game. But if they hit you with 3 Floodgates, then you are again going to need things like the spell cards, like your Lightning Storm, or your Feather Duster. I might just put Lightning Storm in right now, and I don't know what I'd take out, honestly, because it's always useful. Maybe Raigeki, I guess, would be a decent swap out for that, but, they trade their use cases, right? But anyway, that is me done for today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next Master Duel video. See you then.